Imagine this. What if you lived life with no teeth and no bones? Well, I can tell you this, it would be so hard to be able to do your daily tasks. It would be difficult to move, and you wouldn't be able to eat. The truth is, bones are so important for our ability to move and also to stay healthy. And what keeps our bones healthy is calcium, and you can find calcium in the dairy food group. The dairy food group has things like cheese and milk and yogurt, but if you want a more extensive list of all the things about the dairy food group, go watch our other video on the dairy food group. But you know who knows a lot about dairy? This is Maria, and she is part of the Nye Family Dairy. And she is a wonderful dairy farmer, and she has a vast knowledge about the dairy food group because she raises cows. And cows all start as babies. Look how cute these little baby cows are. These cows that you're seeing are only a day old or less. Aren't they just so cute? What Maria is doing is she's checking up on the cows to make sure that all of them are there and accounted for. Baby cows don't produce milk, but this is what Maria has to say about her adult cows that do.
I told you we have about 5,000 cows out here, and the first thing that we worry about for our cows is that they're going to be happy and well taken care of. The very first thing is we make sure that they're comfortable. So we make the cows' beds every day, make them soft and fluffy so they'll have a nice place to lie down, nice and clean. We spend a lot of time making sure that their feed is as good as it can be. We have a nutritionist that's kind of like a doctor about feed for the cows. So all about the hay, all about the corn silage, the grain, the soybeans, corn, the minerals, the vitamins, all that kind of stuff to make sure that every single cow is as healthy as she can be every single day. How many stomachs does a cow have? 9. That would be an awful lot. She has 4, okay? And because she has those 4, you come with me, I'll show you some stuff that the cow eats that I know that you couldn't eat.
Are you curious to see what the cows eat? Well, first we have to get the food to the cows, and they do this by loading up their feed onto a big truck.
Does this look delicious? Yep. Smell.
It's kind of a little sour, huh?
Yeah. We call this TMR, Total Mixed Ration. Or if it's for the little kids in kindergarten, I tell them it's cow salad. And we have alfalfa hay, and that gives the cows some good roughage, kind of like salad, in their stomach. And it also has a lot of protein in it to help them be strong and healthy. That's part of corn. So when a cow eats corn, she doesn't eat just the yellow part, like corn on the cob. Yeah. She eats the whole plant. And the cob, and the tassels, and everything.
Isn't that so cool? Listen to what Maria also has to say about how they check up on the cows.
Every single one of our cows has a Fitbit on her. Use it there. That tells us how much she walks, if she's running instead of walking, when she is lying down. Tell me how many times in a day she chews. We call it chewing their cud. A cow needs to chew her cud to be able to digest all that kind of stuff. You look out there and there's a cow who's just standing there just chewing, like chewing gum. Yeah. That's called chewing her cud, and that's a sign of a healthy cow too. Those cows are probably going to weigh between 1,600 and 1,800 pounds. Kind of large, huh?
Wow, can you imagine that? Milking a cow that's over 1,000 pounds? Well, that doesn't stop Maria. Now she's using a milking machine to extract milk from the cow. You can see the milk actually flowing through the tube. Just make sure that you don't get your finger stuck into the milking machine. After the cows are milked, it's brought into these tubes that are filtered into a machine where it helps cool the milk and then eventually is stored in a large storage tank. Maria and the Nye Family Dairy in Millard County is a great example of how important Utah agriculture is. You can tell that she has a vast knowledge of how to take care of her animals, and that she also takes great pride in the product that she produces. Maria says it perfectly when she tells us,
food, even in the desert, is an important part of your life.
Well, now you may be thinking, I have milk in my fridge, what should I do with it? Well, that's why we invited Chef Kurt to be able to help us with some recipes so you can use milk at home.
I just got back from the dairy farm and now I have all this milk but no recipes. How about we make some mozzarella?
I think mozzarella is a great idea. What else can we do with this milk?
When you're making mozzarella, there's a technique, and they actually make 3 different cheeses at once. You know what you can make with mozzarella, don't you?
Pizza?
We can make pizza.
No way.
It sounds really intimidating to make your own cheese, but it couldn't be simpler, honestly. So we're going to take this great big pot right here. We'll put it over on the burner. This looks like about a half gallon of that farm fresh milk you got for me. The important part when you're making this at home is you don't want to use the ultra pasteurized stuff, because that's been heated too high, too fast for too long, and the curds won't separate properly. Take our time. If you heat it up too fast, the cheese won't turn out right. So we need to heat it nice and slow, and we're looking to get the milk to a temperature of about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer, it just feels kind of like a warm bath. Stick your finger in it, and if it doesn't hurt, then it's fine. While that's heating up, we're going to measure out our acid, because the only way you can separate the curds from the whey is if you introduce some acid. It also adds flavor. So we're going to use a mixture of half and half lemon juice and distilled white vinegar. You need 1/3 of a cup of lemon juice. We're going with 1/3 of a cup of the white vinegar. While that's happening, stir it so it heats evenly. You also want to stir it because we're using whole milk. The fats can kind of stick a little bit, and we don't want to lose any fat. You want to see something cool about the cheese making process?
Yeah.
All right. If you look down in the pot right now, you kind of see there's like a film starting to form over the top, a little skin. You see those little bubbles? That's some of the fat separating out that we want to keep combined, which is why you have to stir it.
Wow,
you feel
that's
how it's
slippery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fat, and we want to keep that mixed in. And we also need to stir the milk to make sure it heats evenly. You'll start to feel the spoon not stir as easily. That means you've got all that fat mixed back in, and we're good to go. We're going to test the temperature. Yep, I said that temperature of 115 or so is going to feel like warm bath water or even hot bath water. So we've got 2/3 a cup of acid total. We're going to stir for 30 seconds.
I see it separating. Is that supposed to happen?
It is. That's the curds separating from the whey. Now this next step is pretty tricky. First, we're going to put a lid on the pot. We're going to turn the heat off. We need to let that sit undisturbed for 20 minutes.
And while you're waiting for the cheese on the stove, that's when you start making your sauce. Chef Kurt created a simple sauce made out of tomatoes and onion and some basil and salt, and it was delicious. You can find this recipe along with the cheese recipe in the description below. Here, Chef Kurt is separating the curds from the whey. The whey is the liquid stuff, and the curds is what's going to turn into cheese. Can you see how that's almost like cottage cheese? What he's doing now is he's wringing out the whey and he's separating it into a different container. In a microwave-safe container, we heated the cheese slowly in a microwave in just a few second increments. And then eventually we got it so that the temperature was just right, and he formed it into a ball and put it in the fridge for the cheese to set up. The whey we did not waste. We used it in a pizza dough recipe, which will also be in the description. This pizza dough is made from whole wheat flour, which is not only super filling, but also is great for our bodies for keeping long sustaining energy. After you have your dough all rolled out, next you're going to create the sauce. And the sauce, all you have to do is throw it into a blender, and I can confirm it was delicious. Can you guess what the next step is to creating your pizza? It's the toppings, which includes our homemade mozzarella. You'll throw it into the oven for a little while until it cooks to this delicious crispy texture. And when I ate it, I can confirm this was one of the best pizzas I've ever had. The Nye Family Dairy is a great example of how we can support local Utah agriculture, and especially how we can use their wonderful product into yummy things like making our own mozzarella for our own pizzas. Remember that the dairy food group is important to keep our bones healthy and strong, and that supporting local Utah agriculture also supports our health.